What's going on YouTube? JT Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Batman issue number 142, also known as The Joker, Year 1, Part 1. This one is written by Chip Zdarsky, and we have multiple artists working on this thing, because you have kind of the Year 1 aspects with Joker, and then you kind of have this foreshadowed future stuff with a different artist, and that stuff felt a little bit more out of place to me compared to what we already got going on in this the main stuff. I feel like that was kind of enough, I felt like, but we'll have to kind of wait and see what Zdarsky does with the subsequent parts, because it's only part 1. I'm gonna wait to see how he handles this more recent arc, and I don't know how everyone's gonna fully react to this thing, because when it comes to the Joker, you're kind of in two camps. Some people want a little bit more of a definitive origin for the character, and others think that's a total insult, and what makes the Joker appealing is he doesn't necessarily have an origin storyline. We don't need a definitive thing with the character, and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I think it depends on the take you're trying to tell. For instance, I'm fine with it in Batman 89, but I'm also fine in The Dark Knight when the Joker doesn't necessarily have a true 100% backstory. I think the mystery makes it a little bit more interesting, if you will. So I guess it depends on the story you're trying to tell. So, but here they don't, I mean, they kind of add to it a little bit. We still have aspects of, say, the Killing Joke, where he's part of the Red Hood gang. Like, that's all intact here, and we get to see a little bit of the fallout of him in this situation, like, post that immediate thing. Like, he doesn't necessarily, like, he's obviously gone mad with the laugh, but there's still a little bit of time where his mind isn't fully broken, and he's trying to, like, live his life or kind of put the pieces back together a smidge, but he just can't escape from it. Like, he's eventually becomes fully susceptible to the madness, if you will. Like, for instance, he'll try to go and do some sort of work. He'll cover his face up, which definitely made me think of Batman 89, where he's like, "Daddy's gonna make some art, darling," and he does all the cover-up stuff over his bleach white skin and all that too. So, I mean, this is the Joker. In some instances, I am kind of tired of the character. In a lot of ways, I feel like he's kind of overshadowed everybody else. But again, this is a Year 1 thing. You just kind of have to go in expecting that. But yeah, so they do recreate Killing Joke panels right there too, so I was kind of appreciative of that aspect, because I mean, that's probably the most iconic Joker panel, I think, in all of comics, if you will. So Joker's off doing his thing, and at one point he also runs into somebody who's like, "Who was that?" And he also sees other members of the Red Hood gang. There's a bunch of copycats and all that too. And also during this time, we have Jim Gordon dealing with the corruption on the Gotham City police force, because I mean, the GCPD is the most corrupt bunch of cops, I guess, in all of comics, if you will. I mean, it's Gotham. The corruption just weeds itself through every little facet of it until Batman comes in to kind of clean things up. So I like some of the earlier stuff with Gordon and Bruce. This is not quite Year 1 Batman. I think it's more like Year 2. And I always enjoyed them kind of cleaning up the city, working together, forming a strong alliance. Gordon kind of stands on his principles that Batman did the right thing, but members of the GCPD kind of want to have it out for him, and they want to kind of get rid of him, if you will. But he still stands on principles, like he's a good cop, so I like that aspect. And there was also some other stuff, like I said, the future stuff, which I felt like seemed a bit out of place to me with the Joker here. I mean, we have this image of him like he's Jesus being crucified, if you will. Not sure what the deal with that is, but hey, it is what it is. So I guess they kind of created a future like where Joker was just, his madness kind of like continued onward, but like it's in some sort of like device, if you will. I don't know. I don't feel like we really needed this stuff. I think the Joker Year 1 stuff was sufficient enough. So while he's off kind of doing his own thing, you have like old members of the Red Hood gang kind of run into him and recognize him, if you will. They got to kind of take action, if you will. We have the copycats in there, like Black Hoods, the Gray Ghosts, and all that. I appreciate the Gray Ghost reference, if you will. And of course, Gordon and Batman are all working together with each other still. Joker at one point does see Batman once again, and it kind of breaks him, and of course it's him when he's covered up with all the stuff. And then they throw something else in here where we have this guy who comes in and he's like, "I want to kind of help you in this aspect." He's the guy who trained Batman. I think this is a character who was in the Zdarsky stuff, like that other storyline he did with the younger Bruce Wayne, if you will. I didn't really read that stuff. I can't even remember what the title of it is. I guess I kind of need to kind of get some context for a lot of this stuff, but there's no little asterisk that they necessarily put into this thing, so you kind of know to read that, if you will. but I know he did write something rather recently about Bruce's early days that he's kind of been working on. I think we've had a few nods and references to that, and I think that's where this character comes from, because I don't know who this character is off the top of my head, if you will. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how I necessarily feel about some other character in the past coming in to train this random, like, Joker character. He's not quite, I mean, at least in this storyline, he's not quite the Joker that we all know that's kind of taken over. I don't really think this was necessary, but it's there to kind of add context with the, like, it's there to kind of make sense of some of the stuff in the present, like how Joker knows all this information about Batman, I suppose. And then, of course, we had the post-apocalyptic stuff with Joker kind of to be continued at the end. We only had a few pages of that stuff. I think 1, 2, like 3 or 4 pages or whatever within the comic book of kind of that future Joker stuff, and that felt a little out of place to me. I don't really know why we necessarily needed that in this comic book. The artwork is great, though. I will give the kudos to the art on the main stuff and then the kind of the stuff that's in the present. So they do have the 2 different artists working on this thing, and I think that at least makes sense of, like, when you're in, okay, here's this potential future with Joker, and then here's this other stuff in this whole year 1 storyline aspect. And I think the artwork for me is the strongest aspect of the storyline, personally. I do like reading about earlier Batman stuff, especially with Tim working with Gordon and dealing with the corruption in the GCPD about the earlier days. I've always been a sucker for those types of storylines, and on the one hand, I am kind of intrigued to see what Zdarsky does with Joker here. I think there's some good stuff here. Not sure about the whole some guy came in to train the Joker aspect. I think Joker is better off when he's his own kind of unique character and kind of deals with Batman in his own way, not necessarily having somebody there to, like, as a mentor to Batman to kind of train him, if you will, because, I mean, the Joker is just kind of mad and insane, if you will. So there's some aspects that I do like I said, the stuff with the Red Hood gang and some of that earlier work stuff. I mean, stuff I've seen before, and they're just kind of adding on to it a little bit. So, but I do like reading this part of Batman's history. I'm not sure how I feel about some other guy coming in, like, during the Joker's year 1 to kind of be the one to train him, but I guess would kind of make sense of how Joker's able to kind of do all these things and get away with them despite not really having the training Batman did beforehand. I don't know. Like, what do you all think about it? Do you like that aspect? Do you think it just kind of adds too much? I guess it depends on the camp you're in. Do you like the Joker being kind of this vague, like, agent of chaos, or do you like having a more definitive origin, if you will? So it is what it is, I suppose. I mean, I'm sure this will probably get retconned in that too. And also, what about the 3 Jokers aspect? Remember that? It just, I don't know anymore. Like, how's that all supposed to tie in together? It gets confusing after a while, I should say. So, but yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. Batman issue 142, I do think I kind of liked it more than the recent failsafe stuff, at least, or Zur-En-Ah, because it doesn't feel, I mean, I've never been huge into the Zur-En-Ah thing. I just don't know why it's really needed. It's not something I've necessarily liked. But again, this is earlier Batman stuff. It feels we don't have to worry about that stuff in this particular storyline. And maybe it'll be pretty good, or we'll have some cool stuff with this reveal. I don't know. I just, maybe I don't necessarily want to learn this version of the Joker's origins, and I kind of like keeping it a bit vague. So I guess it all depends on what you're thinking. But this is only part 1. I'm going to wait to see what Zdarsky does with parts 2, and I don't know how many parts, like 3, 4, when it comes to this Joker year 1 thing. So I'll see. I'll wait and see. Hopefully it delivers something pretty satisfying. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this particular comic book. What did you think of it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that other fun stuff, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.